Stress is often more cunning than we realize. Many everyday actions we consider normal are actually our nervous system's subtle signals of overwhelm. But here's where it gets controversial. What seems like harmless habits might be your brain's secret way of grappling with stress, even when you're unaware. Take last month, for example. I found myself rearranging the contents of my desk drawer for the third time in just 2 hours. The stapler insisted on a precise spot next to the paper clips, and the pens needed reorganizing again. My partner walked by and teasingly asked, "Stressed about your client presentation tomorrow?" I brushed it off with a laugh, but then stopped to think. Was that really it? Turns out, my sudden urge to methodically organize was more than neatness. It was my brain trying to seize control amidst internal chaos. Psychology research shows many of us have similar hidden stress responses. Actions we mistake for simple habits or personality quirks are actually clever survival tactics our nervous system uses without our conscious knowledge. Stress responses aren't always glaringly obvious, like snapping at someone or losing sleep. Often, they wear a mask of perfectly acceptable behavior. In fact, some can even earn compliments. But recognizing these can give us a powerful edge, the chance to genuinely address the underlying stress. Here are 7 such behaviors that might look ordinary but actually reflect stress. 1. Excessive people-pleasing beyond normal kindness. It's natural to want to be considerate, but stress can push this into overdrive. You might find yourself agreeing to every request, even when your plate is overflowing, or constantly monitoring others' moods and adjusting yourself to keep peace. I've been there. Last year, when work was overwhelming, I ended up planning a friend's birthday, joining a volunteer group, and taking on extra work projects all within the same month. I convinced myself it was just being a good friend and coworker. But in reality, my stressed brain was clinging to social approval as a lifeline amid uncertainty. Psychology suggests this people-pleasing as a stress response comes from the nervous system perceiving social approval as safety. When vulnerable, we irrationally fear disappointing others because it feels threatening, even when logic says otherwise. 2. Being constantly busy under the guise of productivity. This one's tricky because our culture glorifies busyness. However, there's a stark difference between living a fulfilling life and compulsively filling every moment to avoid stillness. When stress is at the wheel, doing nothing feels unbearable since it allows worries to surface. I catch myself loading weekend warnings with errands that can wait, or simultaneously scrolling through my phone, watching TV, and eating dinner. My brain's message? Keep moving, or those feelings will catch up. Research confirms that nonstop activity often hides from difficult emotions. The problem? Those emotions never vanish. They linger quietly, accumulating tension. 3. Perfectionism that surpasses caring about quality. There's a line between striving to do good work and agonizing over a simple email for 45 minutes. When perfectionism spikes, it usually signals a nervous system desperate to avoid criticism or failure, which feel unbearable during stress. I learned this during my days as an analyst, spending hours polishing spreadsheets that realistically took 20 minutes. My boss praised my thoroughness, but inside, I was scared stiff of making mistakes amid overload. Perfectionism isn't only about the task. It's rooted in deeper conditioning absorbed over time, where flawless equals safe or lovable. The idea of just good enough can feel terrifying. As author Rudá Iandê writes in his book, Laughing in the Face of Chaos, letting go of perfection frees us to embrace life's messiness and richness. This insight transformed my perspective. Perfect standards don't shield us. They exhaust us. Dropping impossible expectations restores energy for work and living that truly matter. 4. Overthinking and dissecting social interactions. Imagine sending a cheerful text like, "Sounds good," and receiving back a single K. Suddenly, doubts flood in. Are they upset? Did I offend them before? Should I follow up or hold back? Psychology explains that stress triggers our brain's urge to analyze uncertainties, an evolutionary trait designed to protect us when survival depended on social harmony. But today, this mechanism can turn everyday exchanges into mental marathons. I once replayed work meetings repeatedly, examining every word and expression, thinking I was being thoughtful when actually my brain was stuck scanning for social threats caused by high stress. 5. Extreme swings between hyper-organization and total chaos. Back to my desk drawer. Stress can push people toward meticulous order or complete disarray. Some develop rigid, color-coded systems to combat feelings of chaos, while others become so overwhelmed that clutter takes over. Both reactions make sense. Extreme organizing tries to impose order amidst turmoil. Total disorganization may emerge from feeling so inundated that maintaining order seems impossible, or even as silent rebellion against pressure to have it all together. Neither is inherently wrong, but if these behaviors become compulsive or increase stress, it's crucial to explore what they're signaling beneath the surface. 6. Difficulty making even simple decisions. Have you ever stood frozen in the cereal aisle for 10 minutes debating between oatmeal and granola? Or spent hours finding the perfect restaurant for a casual night out? Maybe you repeatedly ask for advice on choices you're capable of handling alone. Stress compounds this by clouding our decision-making brain regions, making options feel equally critical or transforming fear of mistakes into paralysis. During a high-stress work period, I faced this firsthand. Standing before my closet every morning, unable to decide what to wear. It wasn't about the clothes. My mental capacity was maxed out before the day even started. 7. Pulling away from social connections. This one is especially subtle because it often masquerades as self-care or introversion. You begin declining invitations, slow down responses to messages, or find excuses to avoid gatherings you usually enjoy. You tell yourself you're simply tired or need solitude. Sometimes that's true. But chronic withdrawal can reveal that your nervous system has flipped into protection mode, where social interaction feels overwhelming. Stress naturally diminishes the energy needed for emotional engagement. Ironically, isolation can worsen stress over time, even if it brings short-term relief. Humans are wired for connection, and cutting ties can amplify the very pressure we're trying to escape. What does this mean for you? Understanding these behaviors isn't about self-criticism or erasing stress responses. They developed as coping tools. Awareness is the key. Catch yourself in these patterns. Then pause to ask, what's really going on? What is causing my stress right now? What do I genuinely need? Sometimes the solution is straightforward. A good night's sleep, chatting with a friend, or hitting pause on demands. Other times, professional help may be beneficial. Rudá Iandê reminds us, emotions are messengers.